Hello and welcome to 9 to 5 Data, where we talk about data analytics. In this video, we'll be talking about the modeling tab. As in the last video, we talked about the insert tab. So if you look at the screen, you'll see that we have most of the buttons in the subsections of the modeling tab grayed out. So what we're going to do is that we are going to import some data in so that we can actually see some of the functionalities of the buttons in each of the subsections under this modeling tab. So to do that, the first thing is click on the import data from Excel, and I've already provided this data, so check the video description and you will see this data there. So we see the dimension table, click on dimension table and click on open. So you don't need to worry yourself about how this actually works, because we are not going into more details of this. We just want to use this to get to understand more about the modeling tab. So click on all the available options in this. So just check the data in this dimension table, check everything and click on load. So the canvas will change once the data is loaded. And now before we move on, we want to bring in one more data into our Power BI. So if you click on the Home tab, so I'm practically showing you some of the explanation we've done on the Home tab, and you click on Get Data. We want to bring in a new CSV file, so click on Text and CSV and click on this, just then click on Open. So you get to bring the CSV file into the Power BI. So right now, just click on Load. And if you look to the right hand side on the data pane, you can see all the data we have brought into Power BI. So right now, let's go back to the modeling tab that we want to talk about. So in the modeling tab, the first subsection we have is the manage relationship, which is a very important subsection in Power BI. This is where we get to model or see the relationship between our data. So when we are talking about data modeling, this is where it is done. So you see how each data are connected to one another. And if we click on this button, it takes us to the options where we can manage our data. Most of the time, Power BI does this automatically. So if you see now that we have some of these data already mapping to each other, you can see the relationship. We'll talk more about this in upcoming video. And what I usually advise developer is to actually inspect these and not go with what Power BI has given you. And to actually see this more practically, if we click on this model view, then you can see the data we have imported into Power BI, how they are connected to each other. So there are different type of modeling style, so which we'll talk about them in the upcoming video. So for now, what I just want to show you is that if you drag this around, you can see that this freight data set, you can see different connections with it. And if you click on these connections, then you can see the properties of the connection. You can see the cardinality, which is many to one, and some other things which we'll be talking about in the upcoming videos. So for now, that is what I want to show us when it comes to relationship and modeling. So let's go back to the report view, and in our modeling tab, we've talked about the relationship. Now the next subsection we have is the calculation subsection, which has the new visualization, which is grayed out right now because there's no visualization on our canvas, and we have the new measures. So this allows us to write DAX expression to produce some calculations, maybe from a value to calculate our KPI. And if you click on measure, so you see this option comes out where you can actually write DAX formula, and once you're done, you click on the green check mark, which allows you to commit whatever formulas you've written, and then it comes into your data. So we are not doing that right now, so let's cancel this. And if you go back to the modeling tab again, we have the quick measure, which allows us to quickly come up with a measure based on the values we have in our data. So it is a guided way of coming up with a measure. So if I click on that, you can see now that it's just like a visualization way of writing DAX, which sometimes it's really difficult for me to actually follow this because it is not useful when you want to write something complex. It's just to get a quick measure. So let's close this, and the next thing we have on our calculation subsection, the new column and new table, and we can create a new column or new table by using DAX formulas. So if you click on new column, then it tries to let you use DAX to write the formula, and then it's going to add that to the data set in focus. So if you have an understanding of DAX, that is how we have something called calculated column, and then we have something called calculated table, which we'll be talking about in upcoming videos. So for now, let's cancel this and we'll go back to our modeling again. We have the calendar subsection, which allows us to mark a particular column in our calendar table as date. Is something we'll also talk about because it's how we create what we call date dimension. So we'll talk about that in the upcoming video. We also have the page refresh, which has a button called change detection. So this is usually available in DirectQuery mode connection. So we talked about different type of connection when we talk about how to bring data into Power BI, where we have import mode, DirectQuery mode, and we also have the drawer mode. So the change detection is only available for DirectQuery mode. So it actually dictates when there's a change in the data set, and that is when the whole semantic model or our model is going to refresh. And also we can use this to set the way we want our model to also refresh. So if it is to bring in all the data at once. So the other subsection that we have is the parameter subsection, which has this new parameter. And when we click on the drop down menu, we have numerical range and we have fields. So these are actually useful when we want to use DAX formulas to actually adjust the visualizations we see on our canvas. Say, for example, we want to change the dimension of a particular visualization. We can do that by using these fields parameters. The next subsection is the security, which has two buttons, which is manage rows and views. So these two buttons are very important when it comes to Power BI. This is how we create something called RLS, row level security, that helps us to control what an individual sees in Power BI, the amount of record they have access to, or even a particular column they have access to. By using these manage rows and view as, we can use manage rows to create a particular row for somebody to control what they see. Once you have used manage row to create row for a particular group of people or an individual, we can use the view as button to actually view our canvas or our dashboard as the rows we have created to see if that is actually working. So that is the role of security, to ensure that people can actually see the data they are authorized to see and no more. So the next subsection is the Q&A. This is where we set up the Q&A. Q&A is a way people interact with our dashboard by using natural language processing. So if we click on this, and what happens is that Microsoft is going to remove this functionality very soon. But if you click on Q&A, you can add a lot of things. You can see how you can add synonyms, like when people ask for something, you can add the synonyms of that. And also you can review questions people have asked. And if you see the option at the top here, Microsoft has already said that Q&A will be retiring in December 2026. So what they want to do now is probably put in Copilot, where people can actually chat with your dashboard. So that is what we should be preparing for, and we won't be talking about Q&A at all. So that is it about the modeling tab. We have seen the subsections, which are the manage relationship, calculations, the calendar, the page refresh. So in the next video, we'll be talking about the view tab. So don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.